I refuse to let the devil win. Not happen. Not happen. The minute we let the devil win, then we're remorseful, we lay on the couch, we cry all day, we don't get up. I gotta honor my kid. To honor my kid, I have to be the mother he knew.
Welcome to Through the Hurricane. I'm Kathleen Kane. Today we're joined by our very special guest, Dr. Linda Berais. Hello, Linda. Thanks for being here.
It's great to see you, Kathleen. I'm thrilled to be here.
Dr. Berais is a cardiologist, author, basketball tournament organizer, co-founder of a foundation that advocates for organ donation. But most importantly, Linda is mother to both Joseph and Cody. Throughout her 40-year career as a medical doctor, Dr. Berais was no stranger to death or grieving families. But in April of 2013, she found herself on the other side when her 22-year-old son, Cody, died of injuries sustained from an unusual freak accident. Linda, I appreciate your being here, and I want you to tell us just a little bit about when you got that phone call. I know that you were 5 hours away from Cody at the time. You got a phone call in the middle of the night, which is the dreaded parents' nightmare that we all, as soon as we have our children, we start to think about and worry about, and you were there in the middle of the night. You got that call. Tell us what happened.
So it's the phone call no one ever wants. It was a normal Friday night. I went to bed, and in the middle of the night, I got a call from the neurosurgical fellow at UPMC in Pittsburgh telling me that Cody was in a terrible accident and he had a brain injury that he most probably could not survive. Now, that's awful in itself. It was awful for everyone. It was awful for that neurosurgical fellow. It was awful for me. I then called Michael and Joseph, our other son.
Cody's dad is Michael, and
Yes, Joseph is our other son. And it's a blur. It was numb. What my son was hurt, what was wrong. So you go into the mode of doing what you have to do, and that was getting myself from Moosic to Pittsburgh.
How did you do that?
My next door neighbors, two of the best next door neighbors anybody could have, came over, and Tim drove me.
Wow.
And Michael drove, and then Joseph drove from Virginia. That's where he was living, and we all met in Pittsburgh.
And that's a 5-hour drive for you, correct?
Yeah, it's 5 hours.
Yeah, I can't even imagine that. When you got to the hospital, I know that the neurosurgeon resident had already told you that it's an injury he probably could not survive. Now, I'm thinking that there had to have been a war in your body going on right now between your head as a doctor saying he cannot survive it, they've done everything that they can, and your heart as a mother saying, please, God, just give me that miracle. And you still, of course, had some hope because Cody was still alive.
Well, you never give up hope. But my doctor hat aside, the reality was that he had an injury that was severe. And a few things went through my mind. A few weeks before this accident was his birth date. Cody's birth date is February 9th. This was April 7th. And on his birthday, we were driving down the road, going down Moosic Street, and he said to me, Mom, I need to talk to you about something. I said, yeah, sure, honey. I'm driving right now. He said, no, I really need to talk to you about it now. I said, you knucklehead, I can't stop now. He said, well, listen to me. Listen to me. If something really bad ever happens to me, Mom, something bad where you know I can't survive, don't let anybody keep me alive. Don't let anybody put me on machines. I said, Cody, where's this coming from, sweetheart? You know, they're not going to have, I don't have to make decisions like that for you. You're going to be making decisions like that for me, honey. He said, Mom, you need to promise me. I said, you know my feelings about quality of life, sweetheart. You know them. If something like that ever happens, I promise you, I will not let anybody keep you alive.
Now, where did you think this was even coming from? I mean, this was just a normal day, right?
22-year-old on his
Out
birthday,
shopping.
out shopping, getting ready to go out with his friends. It was kind of peculiar.
Yeah. But tell us about Cody, because Cody was a different kid.
He was a different kid.
Yeah, right?
He was, of all of the people I've ever known in life, He was singly the most true to himself and the most comfortable in his own skin. He wasn't there to make enemies, but he wasn't there to make friends. This was the package. You
Right.
like it, you like it. You don't, you don't.
Very loyal, right?
Tremendously loyal. That was
Yes.
probably his greatest quality. And some people may say to a fault, but I don't believe ever you could be too loyal.
And I think when you hear about I called it a freak accident because it was something, it wasn't a car accident, it wasn't an illness, it was something that you would never imagine. And it was so challenging, and it wasn't an illness, it was something that you would never imagine. And it was so challenging to get through, excuse me, to get through of what exactly happened to Cody. I mean, you had that on top of trying to manage his care and be with him and to, manage your own emotions, I imagine, to even get through it.
Sure, but Cody was very matter of fact with just about everything in his life. Very loving, very caring, but there was no nonsense. So this discussion about not staying alive wasn't morbid. It was, this is just what you have to do, Mom.
It was Cody.
It was Cody. And in the same conversation, he said, Mom, the other thing you need to know is if something that happens to me, give everything I have inside away. Like, who does that?
Right.
22-year-old does that. He's getting ready to go out for a beer with his friends. Who does that? But he did. And
How are
little
you
did I
feeling?
know, well, it was, Cody said a lot of peculiar things. So I thought this was a little bit unusual, but he said it. I promised. That's simple. That's simple. Then we went on and talked about a lot of other things.
Yeah.
But little did I know that that instant was God's way of working through Cody to prepare me for 7 weeks later when he had this accident.
7 weeks later. That's just incredible.
So when you say, how did I feel about it when I got that call? I knew what I promised.
Oh, wow. That's immediate. You immediately thought of that
Of course.
conversation.
I knew what I promised.
Wow.
So I said to this great young man on the phone, I said, listen, I know you're doing everything possible that you can do to keep my son protected right now. I said, if you can, please try to keep him alive until we can get there to see him. But if you can't, let him go peacefully with the angels.
That's a hard decision.
It was the right decision.
Of course. Of course.
It was the right decision because I didn't want to strap this young surgeon's hands into doing something he couldn't do. And he said, I understand. And then the journey began.
Right.
We
So
all got on the road. We went there, and gratefully, he was still alive. He was still alive.
So you all get to the hospital and you walk into the room and you see your baby laying there. And I say that because
My baby.
they're always our babies.
Yes.
Everyone knows that, except for them, of course. But so you see your little boy laying there. And what rushed through your mind?
You know, Cody's injury was in the back of his head. He looked perfect. He looked perfect. I just need one of those tissues. My nose is running.
Thank you
Excuse
to
me,
our
Al.
cameraman.
Thank you.
He doesn't want to see our
He
mascara.
looked perfect. As a matter of fact, there were many times Cody came home after a football game much more beaten up. He had a tube in. He was on a vent. You know, a lot of machines beeping. But he looked perfect. And he looked peaceful.
Was he unconscious?
Yes, he was unconscious. He had still some brain activity. You know, he blinked his eyes. He had some primitive movements that still made me know that the lower part of his brain was working.
Now, I know you're very spiritual. Did you at some point believe that regardless of your medical training and the injury to his brain, did some point of you believe that he could hear every word you're saying, or he would know that you're there?
He knows it now.
He knows it now.
He knows it now. He knew it then.
Yeah.
See, death does not strip us of love. Death does not strip us of these beings that are now just only a fingertip away. He's just on the other side.
Yes.
So he knew what I was saying then, and he knows what I'm saying now. He knew what I needed to do in the car that day on Music Street by telling me, "Mom, don't let anybody keep me alive and give everything I have away."
So you told me about that made your decision somehow easier. You know, we see these TV shows where people are struggling with the question of organ donation. And for you and Michael and Joseph, that wasn't really a question. That angst, that part of it was taken away because you knew Cody's
It would
decision.
have never been an issue for me. However, this kid made it infinitely easier, particularly for Joseph and Michael.
Yes.
No, it was there was no question in our mind about what we were gonna do, that there is no need that his organs should rot in the ground
And go with them.
and go with him. He
How
doesn't need
many-
his organs in heaven.
He does
None of
not.
us do.
None of us do. Tell me how many people Cody saved that night.
Well, there was the oldest was a 63-year-old roofer who got both of his lungs. There was a 9-year-old boy who got his precious heart. There was a 12-year-old boy who got one of his kidneys. There was a 52-year-old woman who got the large piece of his liver. There was another man who got a liver, a kidney, and a pancreas. And then there was an 18-month-old little girl. The liver is divided into a large lobe and a little lobe. And she got the little lobe of his liver. And she is now actually, what's today? The 10th? Tomorrow is her 14th birthday.
Oh, wow. Happy birthday to
And
her.
her name is Jazzy. And Jazzy and I and her mom talk all the time. She got the same things Cody did. She got to learn how to ride a bike. She goes to school. She goes to gym. She has friends. She goes to the movies. She's going to graduate from high school and hopefully college.
Well, shout out to Jazzy.
All because of Cody.
But does she know
yeah.
that she,
Oh,
yes,
yeah.
she does?
The first time I met her was on her 4th birthday.
Oh, wow.
Her mother found us through the Organ Procurement Organization, and she invited us to her 4th birthday party, and Michael and Joseph and I went.
How did you feel about that, knowing that you're looking at this little girl who has a piece of your son inside of her?
Just joy.
Yeah.
Just joy. To see her running around with her cousins and her brothers and sisters at her birthday party, she would be long dead now.
Yeah.
And so Cody continues.
Right.
He continues through all of these people.
Is there ever a time of the day or the night that you can actually feel Cody or see Cody or get some sort of clarity or a guidance from him?
I feel him all the time. I'm surprised he's not here right now. He comes all the time. The first time,
He's a jokester, right?
yeah.
Okay, so I will just tell our audience that before we were setting up, our camera literally fell all over the place. It knocked us offline. And
And he said, "Knock it off, Cody. Knock it off."
yes, and that was funny because I knew he was a
He
jokester.
was,
Yeah,
very much. But
so he is here.
yeah, he's here. He's saying, "Mom, you didn't think I'm here?" I could feel him right now. Yeah, I could hear him. 2 things happen. I hear him in the back of my head talking. That's only started the past 2 or 3 years. But originally, and what I feel now, I get this cool breeze that goes across my back and down my arms, almost like he's hugging me. And it's not like a chill that you get when you're sweating. It's not like a hot flash when you're going through menopause. It's Cody. And the first time I felt it was the first day we came home after he passed. And there was a picture of him in the kitchen that somebody put there. And I was looking at it across the kitchen. I felt it. It was a weird feeling. And then I turned my head and I felt it again. And I looked at him and I could see in his eyes, he said, "Ma, it's me."
Oh, I was going to ask you the question of because, you know, I was a prosecutor, so I drilled down onto the facts.
Yeah.
When you woke up, Cody passed away around 4 in the morning. And when you
Well,
woke
he
up,
didn't. What happened was he was pronounced brain dead. So then what happens is they take him to the OR to retrieve his organs and then transplant them to all the appropriate people that were matched. So when I saw him, we pronounced him brain dead, but he was still breathing on a machine and ready to go to the OR.
and that is when you said your goodbyes.
Yes.
The next day, the next time you had to wake up in your bed, did Cody live with you?
Well, kind of, because he was a senior in college.
Oh,
So he was in and out.
okay.
He was in and out.
So when you were laying in your bed and you woke up and which is again like a nightmare, and you realized that Cody was not going to be there, you had to have, I'm sure you must have felt some deflation or some devastation or some extreme loneliness that I probably would have said, I just can't get out of bed.
That's an interesting question and comment because I'm a smart woman
Yes, you are.
and I'm also a pragmatist. But when you have a child who lives with you intermittently, it's a little bit different than when they're there all the time. So he came and went. Some weekends he was home, some weekends he wasn't. To this day, Kathleen, I could sit at a certain chair at my table and I still think he's going to come racing down my driveway in that maroon Hyundai, 1,000 miles an hour, screech the brakes, get out of the car, run in and say, "I'm home, Mom."
That's a
I
dream.
still think that's going to happen sometimes. Sometimes I forget he's not here.
Do you believe that that hope, sometimes people say hope is the greatest thing, and sometimes, negative people, I guess, would say hope is a devastating thing because
Well,
it just leads you on.
no, I know he's not here. I have tried to learn how to accept that. The only prayer for this whole thing is acceptance. Period.
How did you
Acceptance.
get there? Because what would you tell? I mean, one thing I've learned about through my trials and tribulations, what people don't really care about, like the legalities of what happened to me, but they want to know how you got through it because they're going through something. And there's nobody on the face of this earth that doesn't go through something.
We all have it.
We all have it. We all have our storm.
For me, I refuse to let the devil win. Not happen. Not happen. The minute we let the devil win, then we're remorseful. We lay on the couch. We cry all day. We don't get up. I got to honor my kid. To honor my kid, I have to be the mother he knew, not some woman he doesn't recognize.
Yeah.
So to do that, I have to be here with you. I have to certainly take care of his older brother. I have to take care of my patients. I have to be with my friends.
So now, if somebody's out there listening and they are going through this and they are going through the worst, and honestly, I categorize this as a category 5 hurricane because I have no fears in life except losing one or both of my boys. That's the only fear I have. And you have lived through this fear, but you haven't just lived through it. You have, I was about to say moved on, but I know that's wrong. You have built it, you've taken that fear and you've built it into a basketball tournament. You've built it into the Cody Brace Foundation. So when someone is going through this and they are now stuck in that, you tell me what you would tell them to get themselves out of it.
Well, we all do this differently, and there's no right or wrong way. For me, my biggest fear through this whole thing, Kathleen, when I buried him was that the world would forget who Cody was. This beautiful, precious soul. And that was not acceptable to me. No way. On top of that, it was not acceptable to his brother, his father, or his unbelievable friends. So, with their help, we have taken a lot of negative energy, twisted it around to become positive so that this world will not forget who Cody Brace is. What I would tell somebody who's had some type of tragic loss, personal, professional, doesn't matter. You have to sit back and say, what do I need to do to not let the devil win? What is it I need to do to take care of myself? And part of that was I'm a pretty independent person, and I was always used to helping other people. God speaks through his people. So I could not ever push anybody away that God sent to me. So it was through the energy of hundreds and hundreds of people
Including Cody's very good friends
Yes.
who
still show up.
still show up, right? Still show up.
I use that energy And I looked at those kids, particularly my son and Cody's friends, and said, I have a responsibility here. They are not, these kids never went to a funeral home, let alone buried somebody they loved. I felt it was my responsibility to help them get through this mourning and to continue to build a life in Cody's memory.
And that in turn, did that help you? Did that ease your pain?
Absolutely. It soothes your soul. The
Yes.
pain is always there,
Yeah.
but it soothes your soul. So there's no cookie cutter answer on how do you do it, because we're all different. And what might have worked for me might not necessarily work for the next person, but what always works is to allow people around you to help you, to help comfort you, help soothe you, help push you toward life again.
That's a hard thing for I'm glad you mentioned, like, independent women.
Yeah,
And men, or anybody really. That's a hard
I didn't
thing
know how
to
to do that.
I didn't know how to do it either, and it was really difficult because at some point, you may not you may lose your trust, you may lose your faith,
Course.
you may just think that no one can do anything for you, that they don't know your pain, and in your situation, a lot of us don't, thank goodness. So, with that said, what would you tell people like me about dealing with the grief, about dealing with, things that come up in our life? Number 1, I would say, because I thought about this a lot, I thought about you a lot. When I was at my lowest and I felt like I did not even want to go on, I would think about you. I would think about Mike and Joseph, and I would think about, Dale and Karen and Jack and Jimmy, and I would think, "Wait a second. They had the worst day of their life. My day is not bad at all. My boys may not be with me, but my boys are still here." So you were my inspiration that if you could do it, I could do it. If, Mike could do it, I could do it. So I have to tell you, here's one of my questions that I had to write down because I didn't want to forget. When I was in, as my Italian friends would call it, college,
Yes.
jail, they call it a college, you wrote me a letter. Now, you and I, we don't go out and socialize, we don't really talk to each other on the phone a lot, but you wrote me a letter, and in the letter, there were a lot of things you said, but what I remember the most was you said, "Keep your eyes forward." And oddly enough, Cody's dad, Mike, also wrote me, and he finished his letter with almost the exact same words, "Eyes forward." And I felt like that was a gift to me that you were telling me because I would walk around the yard and it was, about as big as my living room if we were lucky, and I would just pace around, and I would see those walls and those gates in front of me, and I would think, you know, "Don't look at those. Keep your eyes forward." They said they were sent to you for a reason. They both said it. "Keep your eyes forward. Look beyond that gate. Look beyond that barbed wire. You are going to have life again. Keep your eyes forward." So, is that something that you live by as well?
I do. But don't sell yourself short or anyone else. Pain is pain. Mine happened to be with burying Cody. Your pain is your pain and everybody else's is theirs. So don't, I'm not sure one is necessarily worse than another. And we all have to try to figure out for ourselves how to manage that pain because it doesn't go away. You're out of college now, but let me tell you, the pain that you had at that college and in that yard, there's scars in there and always will be. And it
Creeps up.
all of those things, all of this pain that we have from our childhood through now, there have been multiple experiences in both of our lives. They make us who we are.
Mhm. They do.
That's all part of what's in us and how we behave and act. So all of that stuff, for as much as I didn't want to see you go through it and as much as I didn't want to go through it, I have to use that in a way to make my soul stronger. And again, to not let the devil win.
And it's who we are. All of it comes to who we are, but it's also who we become because you are an author. You are
Kind of.
you had no, no, here we are. You are an author of beautiful cookbook. It's upside down. 7 on the 7th, 100 Dinners Honoring Cody. This is a pretty thick book. You know, if I was to write this, it would probably be 10 pages, but you had the dedication and, of course, the love for your son and everything else to write this cookbook, but you also then put it out into the public so that other people could get inspiration from that. Is that right?
Cody died on April the 7th. And on May the 7th, I invited all of his friends to come for dinner because I never wanted them to feel uncomfortable coming to the house that they spent so much time at. And it was around the time they were all graduating from college, and about 50 of them came. And it was a good night. So I said, well, how about we do it next month? That was June. How about we? And then I kept doing it every month, 7 p.m. on the 7th of the month. And that's where the title comes from. So when I realized that at some point, it was probably about a year beforehand, that 100 dinners was going to be coming upon us, I said, I think it's something I need to do, mainly so that I see your son.
Oh, he's okay. He's probably telling me to wipe
Mainly to,
the tears.
I wanted to be a record for Joseph so that he would know exactly what happened. Because as time goes on, you forget some of the little details about what happened. And then for all of these amazing young men and women who have been there with me through this whole thing, so that they would have a record of it. And then, because it looks like a cookbook ostensibly, but it's a love story.
Yeah.
At the beginning of every chapter, it tells who Cody was, what happened, and what this foundation does and how it's developed over the first 100 months.
Now tell us what the foundation does. It's called the Cody Barres
Memorial
Foundation.
Foundation.
Memorial Foundation.
Yes.
Where can we find it and tell us what it
Our
does?
website is Cody Barres Memorial Foundation, and you can learn all about Cody and what we do. And it started out as putting a young kid, an 8th grader going into 9th grade, through Scranton Prep, who was like Cody, but who otherwise would never have enough money to ever go. That was our original intention, which still happens. We now have made enough money for that part of the fund in perpetuity that we could put one scholar a year through in Cody's name.
Wonderful.
Yes, we're on number 8 right now.
Oh, wow. That's great.
Yes, but then we realized there was a whole lot more that we needed to do. And we started to do this on the same day as his basketball tournament in the morning. In the evening, we have a great big, I want to call it a party, that is all
Celebration.
about organ donation and how important it is. And during that, 25 vendors give us food. Thaddeus and Sax Maniacs plays for us. It's at the Scranton Cultural Center. And what we do during that time that makes it different than just a party is we have a large video that talks a little bit about Cody and who he was, and then also about the people that we help in the second arm of our foundation. And that is that the monies now that we raise, all of it, goes to people in northeastern Pennsylvania waiting transplant.
That's amazing.
Because, you know, there are a lot of things that insurance simply does not pay for.
The gas to get to the hospital, the lodging for their family.
We paid for a washer and a dryer for a family. It was during COVID. They can't go to laundromats.
Yeah.
So we
Yeah.
paid for a washer and a dryer.
Things you would never even think of
Yes,
that are,
that transplant people need.
yeah,
And they should not have to be worrying about the finances, because not only the patient, but oftentimes their spouse or their loved one has to stop working to take care of them.
that's right.
So that's where all the money goes
That's
now.
amazing.
Yes.
And the Cody Barres Memorial Foundation has been around since 2013 or 14?
There-
2000.
Well, he died in April. The first tournament was August. How
Oh,
these
wow.
kids did it, I
Yeah.
don't know.
How you did it and Mike did it and
Yeah.
Joseph did it.
But it's become a force that's non-stoppable now.
Yeah.
And I always thought, well, is this going to continue? I have no doubts now.
Tell me something. Tell me what your greatest memory about Cody is. And then I'm going to ask you, so you can think about that, what you think his greatest memory about you is. What does Cody miss the most about you?
My food.
You know,
My
mine would miss
food.
my laundry doing, my laundry skills.
Food. No, Cody and I just hung out. I don't know I'd have to think about that, but I have a bazillion great memories of Cody, but one that sums him up as to he was an advocate for those who didn't have any. That's why he would have made a great lawyer.
Yeah. And even at such a young age.
From the time he was little, he was an advocate for anybody who didn't have one. As Father Keller always says, he just had your back.
Yeah. And just I'm sorry to interrupt, but that's exactly how Cody died as well. He went out to help someone else.
And it was an unfortunate accident. You were the Attorney General at the time.
I was. I remember it happening. I got a call as well, and I remember them saying the last name, and I don't know why, because, I know Joseph and Cody. I don't know why I immediately knew it was Cody. Same thing. I thought, I know it's Cody.
Yeah, and he when he was about 7, Joseph was about 10. I'm sure in your family it's the same as ours. Michael sat there, I sat here, Joseph sat there, Cody sat there. And Cody's chomping away on a spare rib or something. And I used the word prejudice in a sentence. And Joseph said, "What's prejudice, Mom?" And I said, "Well, Joseph, prejudice is when you don't like somebody because they're different." He said, "Really?" I said, "Yeah, really." He said, I said, "I'm going to give you an example." I said, "Believe it or not, there are some white people who don't like black people because they're black." He said, "You're kidding me." I said, "I'm not." Now, Cody's in the meantime, he's chomping away on a spare rib.
Because he loves your food.
Because I didn't think he was paying a little bit of attention. He said, "Well, why wouldn't they?" I said, "I don't know. I don't understand it, Joseph, but I guess they don't think that they're nice." Then Cody says, "Not, that can't be. You're black and you're really nice."
Oh, he's so sweet.
Well, my skin is, Joseph said, "Mom's not black, she's Caucasian." And again, 10-year-old, 7-year-old. Cody said, "Look at her, Joe. She's darker than you. She's darker than Dad. She's darker than me. She's black."
Yeah.
The best thing about the whole thing is that my child didn't see color. He never did.
Right.
He didn't see it when he was 7. He didn't see it when he was 22.
Yeah.
He didn't see color. So that to me is such a Cody story.
Yeah. Well, you raised a good boy.
Yeah, Michael and I both raised.
Yes.
We were blessed.
Yes.
We were, and, a lot of people ask me all the time, I'm a physician now for over 40 years, which is hard to believe. I've done a lot. I've seen a lot. But my greatest accomplishments are Joseph and Cody.
Yes.
Simple.
Being a mom.
Simple. They're my greatest accomplishments. Always will be. I love my job. I love what I do. I love what I have done. But they're my greatest accomplishments.
Yes. And I think when you're going through the storm, whether you were going through a grief storm and I was going through, whatever you wanted to call that. But I think when you're going through that, if you can look around and be grateful for 1 or 2 or 3 things would be a great. If you can find that thing, that will get you through that day. You're grateful for that you had your son.
Oh, some people never have the blessing of being a mother
Right.
who want to be. Some people don't want to be moms, but for those who want, I had him for 22 unbelievable years. It was a great ride. And
I like what you said before. The love isn't dissipated or it isn't destroyed by death.
death doesn't ruin that.
Yeah.
I mean,
He's still your
and
boy.
I don't want your audience to think that I don't get sad and I've not been grief stricken. It still happens and it's weird. It happens at times when I least expect it. I might hear a song, I might see something in the yard. I don't know, but it happens. I miss him beyond words in my humanness. I miss him. I'm thrilled for where he's at. He's in the most joyous place of the universe. None of us get out of this alive. And I just have to patiently wait. I have been blessed with Joseph and Cody. And if it was 22 days, it would have still been a blessing. So for that, I am grateful, but I don't want anybody to think for a second that My soul doesn't cry. Of course it does. Of course it does. I lost my son. But I'm also very determined that I will not let that death be in vain, and I will not turn into somebody he doesn't recognize.
That's right.
That is extremely important to me, and I still have I've seen many of my patients when they, lose a child, almost abandon, not intentionally, but almost abandon the ones who are left. "Cody doesn't need me anymore. He's in heaven." Joseph needs me. He may be going on 38. He still needs me.
Always.
I'm the mother, he's the kid.
That's right. Always.
And I have to put my energy into that.
Yes. If there's one thing that you would like to tell either grieving parents or their support system around them, what would that one thing be?
It's never gonna stop. Don't think it will, and don't let those people tell you it's a matter of time. It's not a matter of time. Your grief never stops. There's a hole. When Cody left, he took a piece with me. There's a hole. The hole can't be filled. So my belief is that I have to learn to accept and patiently wait. Every morning when I get up, there's a big picture of Cody on my wall here in King of Prussia. And before I go to work, I talk to him every morning. And I say, "Cody, I love you to infinity. And today I will patiently wait for you. We're one day closer." I'm not signing up,
No, right.
but that's the matter of
I
fact.
want to leave.
If you tapped me now, Kathleen, and said it's time, I'd say, "Kathleen, I'll see you on the other side. I'm not gonna kick and scream." But while I'm here, I need to be the mom he would want me to be. And the mom Joseph needs me to be.
Yes. And your grandchildren.
And my 2 girls.
Yes. Yes. I am going to read from the back of your cookbook. On the front, it has an apron that Cody wore when you visited Italy.
Similar apron, yes.
And then on the back, it has Cody's jersey and his basketball sneakers and the saying that was on his prayer card. Do you mind if I read it? And that would be that's how we'll send out today's episode. How does that sound? I have to put my glasses on because, I'm up in age. 7 on the 7th, 100 dinners honoring Cody. For what it's worth, okay, I'm actually crying already. I've barely started. For what it's worth, it's never too late, or in my case, too early to be whoever you want to be. There's no time limit. Start whenever you want. You can change or stay the same. There are no rules to this thing. We can make the best or the worst of it. I hope you make the best of it. I hope you see things that startle you. I hope you feel things you've never felt before. I hope you meet people who have a different point of view. I hope you live a life you're proud of. And if you're not, I hope you have the courage to start over again. F. Scott Fitzgerald from The Curious Case of Benjamin Button. Who chose that?
I did.
It's beautiful.
It was Cody.
It sounds like it was Cody. I appreciate you being here. To tell the story about losing your child is, I'm sure, very difficult, but I'm hoping that I know we do this for other people, but I'm hoping today you walk away and you walk down those steps and you feel them with you in the sunshine out there.
I will. And remember, to all of the people listening, please be an organ donor.
Yes.
Talk to your family. Let them know. Don't let it be a last-minute decision.
And don't be afraid of it.
There's nothing to be afraid of. You don't need your organs in heaven.
Right? Thank you for joining us for another episode of Through the Hurricane. I'm Kathleen Kane, and I'm here with Linda Barace. Please check out the Cody Barace Memorial Foundation website and organ donation. Visit us on Through the Hurricane website to get the episode song of the day. Thanks for joining us. See you again. Thanks for listening to Through the Hurricane. Please like and subscribe wherever you get your podcasts. See you next time.